Alright, in the last video we tried to export our character out, we tried to make the control rig build for this character, but we ended up with an error because earlier when I had made this character, I had my system crash on me, and I've also changed workstations back and forth. So we're going to go through and go ahead and get the workaround to have this character fixed. Grant, we've been saving throughout this. Hopefully you've been saving your project as we go. So for now I'm going to go ahead and close this publish character window down because she's not being built at all. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to need to go backwards through all of our steps. We're not going to be doing undoing any of our work, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be saving out all of our templates for this character on each screen and exporting those files in a local area that we can find. It's going to export your files into the Unreal files located wherever you had Unreal installed in your machine. So first thing we're going to do in the deformation setup, we're going to go ahead and go down to our export skin weights for selected mesh. So we're going to go ahead and select our mesh, and because our object is one mesh, it should not have any problem exporting. So we'll go ahead and export the skin weight, and let's go ahead and call this Alicia. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at spelling. I do not want to spell her name wrong either, so let's go ahead and export. Alicia skin weights. Go ahead and accept. And we're going to go ahead and overwrite the one I had in there earlier. Skin weights have been exported. Alright. So go back to skeleton placement, and we're going to go ahead and acknowledge that screen. We're going to go ahead and acknowledge that notification that comes up. Go ahead and turn out that proxy mesh because I don't need to see it. Now we're going to go ahead and export our skeleton placement for how we set up all of our skeleton locations within this entire rig. So the same exact location of the last button, we're going to go ahead and save out the template for our joint positions. So let's save out the template. And I had made a file earlier because I had done this error before to make sure it worked, so I could run you guys through it. So we'll go ahead and say and name it what you need to, but I'm going to save over my Alicia skeleton template, and all it's saving it out at is a text document. So let me go ahead and save that. I want to overwrite that. Alright, now the template's been saved. Let's go down to our creation one. This should be the last screen before we need to completely export the mesh itself. And we have our template built, so we're going to go ahead and save out our skeleton template. This is also in a different menu, not as the same one as your joint placement, but I have a bone template text document I had made earlier. You can go ahead and name it what you need to. So go ahead and save that, and I want to go ahead and overwrite what I had earlier. Now all three of our templates have been saved for this character. So the next thing we need to do is select the mesh itself and all those pieces, all the mesh pieces itself, and we're just going to go ahead and export our selection as a Maya ASCII. I've just found that to be one of the easier files for Maya to read. So for me, I'm going to do Maya ASCII. You can do OBJ if you want to, but I'm not 100% sure if it's going to save out all that skin information. I don't think it's going to matter for what we're going to do later, since we're going to overwrite and import all of our information back. So I made a file earlier called character mesh. It looks like a text document because I tried a different troubleshooting method earlier that did not work. So go ahead and name it what you want and go ahead and export out your mesh. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go to a brand new scene. And I'm not going to save this file since I've saved one earlier. I don't want to overwrite all the work I did. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, I stand corrected. I will save out this just to be safe. Never hurts. So I'm going to name this one 06. And save as. Yes. Alright, now I'm going to go back to a new scene. And I'm going to ignore that error for now because that doesn't deal with what we're doing. Now to get rid of those nodes still exist in your open session of Maya. You can completely close out Maya and reopen it. It may get rid of those nodes, But an easier way to do that is just go to File, come down to your Optimize Scene Size, and click down to the option box. And going through this list, you can optimize your scene. And the one we want to focus on is we want to go down to Remove. This will be unchecked, but Remove Unknown Nodes. So let's go ahead and check that. Go to Optimize Now for just getting rid of those nodes. And yes, we want to acknowledge that because we need to get rid of those and remove those nodes. So let's go ahead and we're going to rebuild this entire scene from the ground up. This is a brand new file, so nothing exists. It's a clean slate. So let's go ahead and import our mesh that we saved out. So go now ahead and navigate to where you saved out your mesh. Go ahead and import that character. And we don't see her in the scene, but she's there. There's her gigantic boot. Let's go ahead and push F to frame up the character. She's not going to have any of her materials assigned, I don't think. I stand corrected again. It's iffy sometimes on the material and saving out the scenes. If you play with Maya enough, you would know. I'm pretty sure you guys are well aware of that. So we got our character mesh in. Let's go ahead and open up our character rig creator. And it's going to be back to the default settings in the animation rigging toolset. So from here, let's go ahead and we need to go ahead and load up all of our templates for our character that we had saved out earlier. So let's go ahead and load up our bone template. That's going to load up all the settings we did for the bones. Go ahead and go to skeleton placement. Yes, we want those chosen parameters since we had made them earlier. Let's get out of that proxy mesh, get rid of that proxy mesh like we always do. Now, the joint placement's out of position. That's fine because we already saved out a template of our joint placement. So let's load up our skeleton template. Load up that. All the position of our bones are back where they need to be in the right orientation as well. Alright, we'll go now to our deformation setup. We want to go ahead and create that rig pose. We want to acknowledge, say yes for setting up as T-pose. I always do auto, and then I just do save rig just so that the rig is always good to go. We want nothing to do with our proxy mesh, so set no on this screen when it asks you about that. And like we have done with every screen that we've gone to with the proxy mesh, just get rid of it. But for us, it got rid of it already. So this character is almost back to where we had it before. We just need all of that skin weight information. So let's go ahead and load up our skin information that we had saved out earlier. So let's select that geometry. Go ahead and import our skin weights and open that up. And it's going to go ahead and reapply all that saved out information for all the skin weights. I'm going to pause the video real quick while this loads so you guys are not idly standing by. Be right back. Alright, our character got the weight information re-implemented. We can play around with the arms again, make sure everything worked just fine. It doesn't look like I'm getting any issues here. Yep, she's waving. Hello. Alright, so since we cleaned out our entire scene and we've re-implemented all of our skin weights, let's go ahead and try again to go ahead and build that control rig. It should execute just fine this time. Again, it's going to ask you where do you want to save this out. We already made it. You go ahead and name your character. I'm going to overwrite what I had made earlier. Go ahead and build. I want to overwrite. And I'm going to just use that crazy thumbnail I had from earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and use existing. And our character is now having a rig built. I wish the screen stayed where it was so you could see it being built. I stand corrected again. And our rig is now being created for us to be able to manipulate this character. The way this usually builds, it likes to go from the ground up, so it's going to build the legs, torso, the arms, the head. And in about a minute, it's going to tell us, do you want to go ahead and open the rig file. So all these here, it's gonna tell you where it exported out all those information for the rig. So these three will tell you where the rig is, and this is your export file. The export file is only going to contain your mesh and your bones associated with that mesh with the skin weight information. So what I want to do is I can go ahead and go to the edit rig file just to see the rig itself. And there is our character rig. Go ahead and select one of these controls and frame up. Now, first thing you might notice is all these crazy joints all over the place on her skirt. Well, the cool thing was, because we used joint chains, we have the ability to manipulate all those joint chains the same way we can with the fingers. That's why doing the rotation was an important aspect to play with in the beginning. Awesome thing is, you can select this. We have FK control. We also have FK control for the arms. We also have controls for all of our chest pieces. Now we don't have our art kit here, so I can't select all the controls for it. But right now it's going to send me back to the deformation menu, which is not what I want. I just wanted to preview the rig file to see how it looked. So this file is looking pretty good right now. I'm going to close down this art toolkit, and I'm going to stop the video for here. I'm going to stop the video for now, and then when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and open up a brand new scene without this character in it. We're going to open up our character rig through the art file, through the animation toolkit. So we'll be back.